On this episode, we talk about science fiction weapons, world building, alternate history, and genetic manipulation.
Hello, this is the SciFi Ideas podcast, ideas and inspiration for science fiction writers. I'm Mark Ball, and this is David Ball.
Hello. Well, that sounded a bit of a grand introduction. This is David Ball.
The great David Ball.
I think this is the earliest that we've ever recorded a podcast, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I feel
so neither of us. My brain's not working.
No, mine's not either. Although it's almost midday.
On a Saturday, though.
It's not even that early.
12 o'clock on a Saturday. It's like 6 o'clock on a weekday.
Oh, I'm hungover and I've had no sleep. Right, in front of me, I've got a coffee and I've also got a tea. I'm covering both bases there. You know, if I want a coffee, if I want a tea. It's an Earl Grey tea as well in my special Star Trek mug, which says tea Earl Grey hot. Right, come on, what are we going to talk about on this podcast?
Okay, I don't really know. We've had some suggestions of things to talk about, so we'll go through them. I want to start with a bit of a plug. In fact, an actual plug, not a bit of a plug, for the Launch Your Universe web show. A new web show to be started by Joe Kawano, who he administers a Facebook group that I follow.
The SciFi Writers group, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the world builders and sci-fi writers.
Oh, we've seen that one. Okay, right.
Yeah, he considers himself to be a world builder. In the web show, he talks about he's got this world in his head that he hasn't actually written anything down yet. Oh. He's working on a couple of novels and a comic book series, I think, and a role-playing game.
Sounds like all of us, doesn't it? He's got a world in his head, but he's not written it yet. Yeah.
And he's got really big ambitions for it, but it's difficult to actually achieve anything. And so the web show is basically going to chronicle how he moves forward with this project or various projects.
Yeah. So it's a YouTube channel, isn't it? And I did listen.
Yes.
I think I only listened to about half of it. I was listening at work, and then the boss came in. So I didn't quite understand what it was. It was him talking, but he was talking to a robot.
Yeah. It's meant to be a recording in a bunker. I think it's set post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
And we've discovered these archives in a nuclear bunker. And there's this little annoying robot drone that he activates that comes along and basically starts insulting him. The interesting thing for me was the way that this drone was like, it's a personification of his own self-doubt.
Yeah.
And it's hovering around, basically saying, oh, you're no good, oh, you're just a dreamer, you're never going to get anything done. And it was kind of creepy how much it sounds like the voices in my own head.
Yeah, I know, I'm thinking the same. And I know a lot of writers as well, and we've all got these worlds in our heads that are kind of great, and we've got great ambitions and stuff for them, but then, you know, it's just turning that into actual books and you know, getting it written down and things.
Doing the actual work that's the hard part.
That's the hard bit, yeah. Yeah. So I can see that he's going to appeal to a lot of writers by doing that sort of thing.
The great thing is he's admitting all of this, and he's admitting that it might not go anywhere.
Yeah.
But he's got to chronicle it anyway, share his failures with us if it fails. I think that honesty is quite appealing.
Yeah, that's fine. That's a very human thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And then what I'm hoping he's going to do as well is look at other people's projects.
Yeah.
And look at world building and publishing in general and share some advice and give other people help as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully that'll be nice.
Well, world building is one of those things that it's such a massive topic, isn't it? And you could probably spend an entire lifetime world building, you know, a planet, a universe, something like that. But then what do you do with it? You need the story. You need a story, don't you? You know, a lot of the things that I see, you know, I've been doing the creature concepts for the website. A lot of them are created by artists, and they've come up with a really interesting idea of a creature and the traits that it has. Things like what it eats, its breeding cycle, and how it communicates with other creatures and things like that. But to actually use that in a story, you need something else.
It's actually quite difficult.
Quite difficult, yeah.
Particularly with the creatures, because that is very specific, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then that goes on to alien ideas in general, ideas for alien characters. Some of the traits that these creatures have could, intelligent aliens could have these traits as well, and then that becomes part of character.
Yeah.
I was going to say as well that Joe Kawano has been showing some ideas for our planet generator.
Oh, did he?
Very nice of him.
Oh, that's good. Well, we've had quite a few people coming up with stuff for that, haven't we?
Yeah, I put out a request on Facebook, and a few people have shared some things.
I like that. That's good. It shows it's like a community.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
Thing, yeah.
Also on Facebook, I put out a request for things that we should talk about on this episode of the podcast, because we don't have any ideas what to talk about this week. But a couple of people have responded. Somebody called Aidan, this was on the website, I think.
It was, it was in the comments.
Yeah, he said, you have quite a few good articles on weapons, so I was wondering your views on the warfare side of sci-fi. Do you think it crops up too much? Do you think that people use high-tech current weaponry too often? Have you got a favourite exotic weapon?
Ooh. Very different.
It's great to hear your views on the podcast, he says.
Okay, right. Interesting. So, do you think warfare crops up too much in sci-fi? No, it's barely ever mentioned. Yeah, I think warfare is... Well, the thing is about war's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's conflict, and all stories are about conflict in some way.
Yeah. Do you think it crops
warfare
up
is
too
just
much?
large-scale conflict, so...
Too much? No, I don't think too much, but then...
No.
I think there's too many tropes that happen. There's too many stories where it's in the future, some war happens, and that's it. It's just kind of an excuse to show some explosions, excuse to show some spaceships zipping around, things like that.
Galactic warfare, the such and such republic versus the blah blah alliance.
Yeah, well,
and then a hero emerges. Yeah,
it can be done well, but it's also done a bit too much. I mean, it can still be done again, as long as it's got some fresh new ideas to it. But just the idea of a war is happening is not enough, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So what do you say?
It's quite an immature thing to do, isn't it? To write something based on kind of, I can't say geopolitical, galactic political conflicts, and to forget about the character conflict.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I was thinking about when we were talking about world building as well. That sometimes you might have this great idea of of things happening, and even if you thought about the politics of, the Galactic Senate has done this thing to the trade routes of something, and there's an embargo around the planet, blah blah blah. Now that's probably interesting, but what's the story? If the story is just about a man in a spaceship going out and shooting people, you probably don't need all that world building.
More importantly, what's your investment in this as a reader?
Yeah.
Do you care about these countries?
Or
do
planets.
You care about these characters and these settings?
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting actually, because I reckon a lot of writers will focus on the world and not the character.
Yeah.
We like characters. Everyone likes characters because, we're people. We like to follow other people, don't we?
Yeah.
So he said also about, do you think people use high-tech weaponry too often? It depends what he means by that, really, because what kind of weaponry are mentioned in science fiction stories? People have
lasers,
lasers,
blasters, plasma cannons. It's just guns. A gun's a gun.
Well, if a gun can shoot someone and kill them, doesn't really matter what it's made of, whether it's a rail gun or a laser or a phaser or a plasma whatever.
Yeah.
A gun's
in a movie, it matters because it's a visual effect, and that can make things more visually interesting. And maybe in a story providing some extra details like that can be interesting. Maybe some people are interested in the technology, but I'm not. I'm interested in a guy pulling a trigger and shooting somebody. Why is he doing that? What's the effect of it?
Yeah.
It's not about the technology for me.
It's not about whether a bullet comes out or a laser comes out.
Yeah.
Do you think then the first time that someone ever used a laser in, say, a sci-fi film or a book or whatever, was that a big deal?
Probably.
It seems like it would have been. In
Yeah.
Star Trek, the phasers are kind of they're kind of popular, aren't they? It was a big deal. Oh, they've got the phasers. It fires energy. Oh my god, that's a special thing. Whereas now every sci-fi film they fire some sort of laser or pulse or something like that.
I don't know where the idea of the laser gun comes from. I think Nikola Tesla actually patented a laser gun of some kind.
Right. Yeah, but it can't.
He put in a patent, a patent for something called the Peace Ray. Apparently, the American government was actually funding his research into this. But I think that they wanted to call it a death ray or something. But he called it a peace ray because he thought it would be such an ultimate weapon that it's kind of like that mutually assured destruction thing.
I don't know. I don't like any weapon being called something for peace.
Yeah, it's odd, isn't it?
I understand what it means though about mutually assured destruction.
Yeah.
If everyone's got one, then there's going to be peace.
But yeah, this is Nikola Tesla, obviously famously a genius and also famously crazy. So nobody knows if he actually built anything functioning or not.
But he can't have built a laser. I mean, when was he alive? That was 1800s, wasn't it? Or was it early 1900s?
Both.
Oh, okay, right. Well,
he's sort of that region, isn't he? Yeah.
Even if he built a laser, it's going to be one of those where it takes 12 hours to vaporize anything.
Yeah.
Do you remember that bit in Hyperdrive where there's those crazy aliens and they say, "Get out the death ray," but now stand there for 8 to 12 hours, and people keep moving. Going, "Don't move! You will be vaporized in 12 hours."
Well, this is the guy who claimed he'd received communication signals from outer space.
Did he?
Yeah. Like the turn of the century, yeah. Radio signals. And he went to the press and everything. It got in the newspapers.
Really?
That he received signals from an alien intelligence in space.
Oh, did it turn out to be a pulsar or something?
It was probably just background radiation.
Yeah. So Aidan asks then, have you got any favourite exotic weapons? What kind of exotic weapons are mentioned in science fiction? Obviously, we've got laser guns, but
depends what it means by exotic, really.
Like a lightsaber, I suppose. That's quite exotic.
That is exotic.
When it was first shown in Star Wars, people are probably thinking, "Oh my god, it's a sword and it's also a laser. That is amazing."
It is kind of awesome, isn't it?
It is, but it's just a sword, so it's no difference.
No. It's not that. It's not just a sword. The lightsaber has a lot more to it. I mean, it's an offensive weapon and a defensive weapon, for one, right?
What, you mean that you can, like, hit back some laser blasts?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, but only if you're an awesome Jedi, you could probably do the same thing with anything. If they just had a sword made of metal, they could... Well, I suppose that would break, though, wouldn't it? Mm.
But it also kind of ties into the idea of what a Jedi is.
What, a knight? The old
it's
fashioned type
it's
of
kind
knight,
of
a knight with a sword.
It's symbolic, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
In that the way that Luke Skywalker masters the use of the lightsaber throughout the films, is kind of it's symbolic of his becoming a Jedi.
Oh right, so okay, but you don't master a gun, really, do you? You get a gun, you can fire it, you can shoot people instantly. Yeah. Whereas
I suppose you get better aim and everything, but
I suppose.
But yeah, there's all the mad skills that he has. There's various ways you can use a lightsaber. You can cut through doors and stuff. Not that takes any kind of Jedi skill.
No, just plunge it into a door.
But yeah, it's kind of a plot device, though, isn't it, as well?
I suppose, yeah. Yeah, I suppose they do use it as a thing rather than it's not just any weapon. If you replace that in the film for any other weapon, it wouldn't be the same.
No.
And it means you can have these awesome sword fights, whereas watching two people shooting each other is pretty dull.
Yeah.
Well, what other kind of weapons?
It can be interesting to shoot out, but it's just overly done.
Yeah. What other kind of weapons can you have then? I mean, that is fairly unique, but I can't think of many other, science fiction films where they've thought of some really good. Oh no, I can. How about Minority Report, where they have the sick sticks? Do you remember those? The police.
Oh yeah.
The police carry the sick sticks, and it's just like a stun gun, but it makes you instantly sick. And when I first saw that, I thought, oh, that's horrible, because I don't like watching people be sick. But I thought, what a rubbish idea for a weapon. But actually, that's pretty good, because if you're fighting someone, they're not going to be much good if they're being sick. So you just stun them, and they go, oh, don't feel very well, and then you can just quickly get the cuffs on them.
Yeah, and then get sick all over your police car.
Well, it doesn't really matter, does it? But
no.
So that's quite a unique way. I've never seen that done anywhere else.
It kind of does the same thing as a cattle prod, though, doesn't it?
It stuns you, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that I suppose is unique about the phaser in Star Trek, that it's stun. You can stun people. It's not a gun isn't just a death machine. It stuns you, and so you can you can use that in your story to shoot someone, knock them out, and not actually kill them.
Yeah.
Maybe in films before that, they always a gun was always a killing machine.
Yeah. And in films in the 60s, if you got shot, you died instantly. Even if it was... if you get shot in the hand, I'm dead.
And they just die.
It ties in with what Star Trek is as well. The idea of peace and Roddenberry kind of wanting everybody to be nice in the galaxy.
Yeah. And you don't kill each other, you just knock each other out for a bit. What other things do we have then? Thinking about ship...
You know it's early in the morning when I can't even think of the word morality. Peace in the galaxy and stuff. Yeah, morality.
Thinking about ship weapons, obviously we've got lasers, you've got, I don't know, photon torpedoes. They're not really that unique, are they?
No,
photon
just
torpedoes,
a projectile. Yeah.
Just the same as what a submarine has. But you could have disruptors, which
that's an interesting one, isn't it?
They disrupt
because again, that's kind of a disabling effect.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it would stop a ship dead rather than completely destroy it. I mean, it's not that original. In fact, have we seen any original weapons on spaceships?
Not in the last several decades, no.
Missiles?
There probably have been. I'm sure we'll now get comments saying, oh, you need to read this book and that book.
Yeah, true. I suppose there are, but maybe not, not well known.
Yeah. So yeah, Aidan's saying you have quite a few good articles on weapons. So people listening to this, if you haven't read Cassidy Frazee's articles about weapons on the SciFi Ideas website, really recommend it.
Yeah.
Especially, he's got an article about about energy weapons, which is good. He's also got an article about projectile weapons that I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
Talking about how projectiles work in space, and that they really are super awesome, because a bullet in space, travelling really fast, can do a hell of a lot of damage.
Yeah, because there's no friction. There's no friction to slow it down. Therefore, torpedoes, photon torpedoes, things like that.
Yeah.
Ideal. Rail guns. You just have to fire, a bit of metal?
Yeah.
That's
quite literally, yeah. In fact, Cassidy provides some maths, some simple equations showing that just a railgun firing a bullet at space through vast distances can completely tear through any spaceship.
You could call it a harpoon. That's a word that's not used enough.
I think warfare in space is going to be all about range. I think it's going to be range warfare. I think because we're going to have such precise weapons, and like I say, just firing a single bullet can do so much damage, I think it's going to be about who can detect the other spaceship first and get that shot off first.
Yeah.
And who's got the larger range of detection.
Well, in theory, you could fire for miles and miles away.
Yeah.
You don't have to be dogfighting really
Hundreds
close.
of thousands of miles, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be more like submarine warfare in that respect.
Yeah.
It's about detecting that blip on the other side of the solar system and firing, and then waiting for it to hit.
Yeah. But then I suppose you could defend against that. If you've got days of warning, because you're that far away, you can defend against it quite easily.
Yeah.
Like move the spaceship.
So I guess then it becomes about predictive manoeuvring, a kind of predicting where that spaceship is going to be when that bullet gets there, and predicting what kind of defensive manoeuvres they're going to make.
Yeah. I thought...
I think that's quite interesting. I think that's more interesting than being close range and firing blasters at each other.
Yeah. Well, it's not as exciting, not as visually exciting.
No.
I mean,
it wouldn't be as good in a movie, but for books, I think that's quite intellectually exciting.
What about lasers? Like a constant laser. I'm not good at physics, but if you fired a laser pen into space, would it just carry on forever, wouldn't it? I know it would obviously travel at the speed of light, so it wouldn't be instant.
Yeah, it shifts though. The spectrum shifts, doesn't it? There's the red shift thing.
Let's not.
So I don't know if that would dissipate the power behind it or not.
Let's not get into talking about physics because it just shows how ignorant we are. We're not scientists. But again, if you could fire a laser from a very, very long distance, then that's another form of warfare, isn't it?
Yeah. And that would be more effective than a bullet, like you say, because with a bullet you've got time to get out of the way.
Yeah.
The laser's faster.
It's faster, but it travels at the speed of light, yeah.
So we started this by saying that types of weapons aren't very interesting.
But actually
they are. A gun is just a gun. But actually, yeah.
Well, handheld weapons.
Yeah.
Although, remember, thinking about Minority Report again, they've got those the disruptor ones that knock you back. It's not the same as a stun, but it does knock you. It sort of knocks you very far away, doesn't it?
Now, also, Firefly has just simple guns, 6-shooters, but yes, a gun is just a gun in that respect, but again, it ties into what the show's about. It adds a lot of style to the show.
Yeah, so it is about the style, isn't it, rather than anything else. They don't focus on the guns too much, but the guns, like everything else in Firefly, they match the environment.
Yeah, it's a world-building tool, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Well, just making sure that everything's on the right theme.
Yeah, but it's only because we associate it with something. And so if you just have a blaster or a plasma cannon, that doesn't really add anything interesting, does it?
No.
Feel free to disagree, people, in the comments.
Yeah. Bring on the hate. Well, can I tell you about the comic that I was reading last night? Because you started talking about Firefly. I was starting to read a Firefly comic, and it's one that's set after the film Serenity.
Okay, yeah.
And it's an official continuation. And it's as close as we're ever going to get to a continuation. We probably won't ever see Firefly back on TV.
Yeah.
But we're getting this continuation of a story. Is that all right? Is that good? Or is
that
a cop-out?
No, it's good. It's good. I think Whedon has been approached about doing more. I think he has had the opportunity. And, well, come on, the support behind it surely could.
Oh, yeah, but definitely.
I think a studio has actually come to him and mentioned it. Oh, was it Netflix? I think Netflix asked him.
Right. Yeah, but he's too busy anyway. He's tied up with the Marvel universe in the next few years.
Yeah, that ship has sailed. He's moved on. He's doing other things now.
It's a shame because I do love everything they built is brilliant. Yeah.
But yeah, for the fans to keep it going in comic book form, yeah, fine.
Well, what about because I know you weren't that keen about the Star Trek ones that they did, for the new Star Trek films.
Yeah.
Because I read a lot of those and I gave you, I don't know if you read them.
I read the Star Trek Countdown.
Yeah, it was the countdown to the first film, wasn't it?
Which was exposition for the first film.
Yeah.
Is what it was. It was like explaining why things are the way they are in the first film. And it's like, do you really need to have the explanation beforehand? A film should explain it anyway. Well, it did. Spock gave a little monologue.
No, I like it.
The whole thing just failed for me.
No, I think it was fine. I think it was good because I think the film on its own was fine. But if you wanted to delve
on its own was just explosions.
No, anyway,
nothing made any sense. The characters weren't likable. It was just a mess.
Wait, haven't we said before we're gonna save all this up for the special Star Trek podcast that we're going to do where you're just going to slay J.J.
An Abrams cast, yeah. We'll insult Abrams for an hour, yeah.
And I'll try my best to defend it. Yeah. I like it. I like that film. It's good. But
I need to watch Star Trek Into Darkness as well before that because...
Have you not watched it?
No. Well, because the first one was so crap. I thought, I'm not watching it.
It was excellent. It was brilliant.
It was terrible.
Into Darkness, I can definitely see that you will hate it even more. I wasn't a big fan. I think there was a lot of really good bits, and I think it was very entertaining. There were some moments. And also it's got Mickey from Doctor Who in it, which...
Oh, no! Oh, God.
He is definitely not my favourite person.
Oh, he's poison. He poisons everything he's in. He's just like a bad smell.
But it does have Benedict Cumberbatch, who everything he touches turns to gold.
Yeah, okay, it's really smelly gold then.
Anyway, let's not talk about that. So you think that carrying on the story of something in comic form is fine, but as long as the important exposition isn't in it?
No, the problem I had with that was that they used the comic book as exposition for the movie, whereas the movie should have given us that information anyway. But or in a better way.
No, I don't agree, because I like to delve more into something that might not be that relevant, and the comics kind of allow that.
Yeah, but the comic book stuff it was actually relevant to what's happening in the film. It was completely relevant to it.
Yeah, but you didn't need it.
It explains who Nero is and why he is, and without that, Nero's just some bald dude with a grudge, and you don't even know what the grudge is about. And in fact, having read the comic and seen the film, I still don't know what the grudge is about, because it doesn't make sense. But let's not talk about that.
No.
But then add to that the fact that the film is also exposition for the rest of the series. The film only exists to set up the spin-off Star Trek franchise, and then that comic only existed to launch the film. Pointless.
I think the comic was for existing fans to be transitioned into it, because it explains how the universe, the Star Trek universe that we know, has moved into. Well, he explained everything that went on anyway with Romulus. No, yeah, Romulus was destroyed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Nero had a time machine and chose not to go back and save Romulus. He chose to go back and torture Spock, who was the only person who tried to help him.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he? Spock was trying really hard. He was going, yeah, I'll help you. And then just because I think he got there a little bit late. I think he was distracted by Captain Picard. I think he was having some tea. And then when he got there, it was too late.
Anyway, this stuff makes me angry, so let's talk about something.
Okay, we got Chris Kentley said that he wants us to talk about alternate histories.
Oh, yeah.
What have you got to say about that?
Not a lot.
Oh, you have. You like history a lot.
I do like history, yeah.
More than anyone that I know. I think you could talk a lot about history.
I find the idea of alternate history fascinating.
Yes.
But I've never really read any alternate history fiction.
Well, I have, and I'll get onto that in a bit. But the thing that I reckon is the problem about alternate history is that you've got to have a good grasp of actual historic events first, before that you can then realise the differences. That another alternate.
You've got to know the history to appreciate the changes that have happened in history.
Yeah, yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you can't appreciate the setting of an alternate history story.
Yeah, true. Well, I suppose things set in the past that aren't necessarily true could be seen as alternate history, can't they?
I would say that.
A fictional character, fictional event set in the past, is that alternate history, or is that just... It's just a period drama.
Yeah, it's just a fictionalisation of history, isn't it? But alternate history tends to focus more on something happened in the past that changed the timeline. The story set sometime after that, experiencing these changes.
So it'd have to be experiencing the changes for it to be an alternate history story.
Yeah, I would say so.
Not just some characters in a historical time.
Yeah. Although the characters can be making the changes and also experiencing them.
I listened to a very good story. It was on Escape Pod, and I can't remember the title of it, but if I find it out later, you can put it on the show notes, can't you? And it was this, and it was this story of a man who's studying studying history, and I think that he had a time machine. I think he worked at a university. I'm not quite sure, but he was teaching other people how to change history, or maybe go back in time without altering the timeline. But what he wanted to do ultimately, he really liked airships, dirigibles, airships. You know what I mean? And he wanted them to exist now, and so it was kind of chronicling his small changes to make sure that we still have airships now. And so he was doing these very small changes, and then I think he succeeded in the end. But obviously, by the end of it, he didn't really know what changed. He's changed history, and so therefore we have airships now. And it was quite interesting as a concept. The story, it was all right, but I'd never seen that done. Well, no, I've sort of seen that done before. People changing history for their own benefits, but I'd never seen really a story all about that.
And then, of course, things don't have to be about somebody actually changing. It doesn't have to be about time travel. A lot of alternate history is just something happened slightly differently.
Oh, like a story set in a world where Nazis won World War II.
Yeah. I think the real skill behind alternate history writing is tracing things back and finding that one tiny point where things changed.
Yeah.
And making it feasible that just, one man made a decision slightly differently.
Yeah, okay.
I heard something on Escape Pod a few weeks ago myself.
Yeah.
It was a slightly odd one. It was about Fidel Castro. Apparently, Fidel Castro used to play baseball.
Right.
Professionally, I think, or I don't know. I don't know the real history behind it. But in this alternate history, he'd chosen not to go into politics or become a freedom fighter or whatever, and he focused on his baseball career, and he was playing American League baseball and was a big superstar. Interesting one.
That's an interesting concept, but I don't know.
I think he was actually offered to join an American team in reality.
How
so
does
it's that one decision.
Work as a story? How does it work as a story?
It wasn't a particularly interesting story, I have to admit.
Because surely it just sounds like a chronicle of events.
Well, I don't know. It was a personal story about Fidel Castro as a baseball player, which didn't interest me, but
no, I'm not a
fun idea.
I heard a story. We should find the links to these, by the way.
We should, yeah.
Because I don't remember the titles of them. I listened to Escape Pod story and it kind of forget the title, but I remember the interesting ideas. And this one was all about coin collecting. Right, sounds very, very boring. And they had quite a lot of it as exposition at the start, where this man, he likes to collect coins, and he the president. It was an American, set in America, and he was talking about the presidents on each of the coins, and it was about his collection. His collection is different to everyone else. He collects coins where the heads of the presidents are people who actually were never president.
Okay.
So these coins are from alternate timelines, and somehow he finds them, and so it'll be the person who didn't get elected, who's on the coin. And I don't think the story really had much of a story. It's just that it's kind of the problem with short stories sometimes, that it's like a third of it is
more about the concept.
Exposition. Yeah, it's about the concept, and when the concept's sort of been revealed and admitted to. It kind of keeps you guessing at the start, going, "Oh, where's these things come from?" And then once the concept's been revealed, story ends. Yeah. Essentially.
Yeah. Alternate history does tend to fall into that trap, I think, as well.
Yeah.
It does tend to be more about the chronology of things, and yeah. But that in itself can be really interesting.
Yeah, it can be. Maybe not as a novel, but as a short story.
Yeah. Like I say, I haven't really read a lot of alternate history fiction, but I do follow an alternate history Facebook page called just Alternate History, I think. There's also Alternate History Weekly Update.
So what do they do?
they share a lot of links and a lot of maps, usually. It's linked to a website as well. I think that's Alternate History Weekly Update is the website. And I sometimes read the articles where they'll just talk through a scenario where something changed and what was the knock-on effect. And then people will comment and say, well, you could have gone this way or that way. Often what they'll do is they'll start with a map. And I think this is really interesting because I love maps.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by looking at maps and seeing all the borders and how these borders are changed in these alternate history ones. And they will then trace back, how could we have got to this state? And I don't know, it's really interesting. It's kind of like a backwards jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely interesting. If you were going to change, like, the last 10 years, what were the most important events?
Oh, God. I don't know. I've not been paying attention.
We're both listening to too much science fiction, not enough reality.
Yeah. But yeah, the problem I find with alternate history and with world building as well, two things that I really like, but the problem is that the stories tend to be top down, like looking at a map from above. And just like we were saying with world building, you forget about the characters. You need to kind of have a zoom down within the world approach to storytelling.
Well, how much exposition do you need at the start of a story? I don't want to pick up a book and then, the first 10 or 15 pages be all about exposition. I want to get sort of straight into the story.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if everyone's the same.
I want to figure it out for myself as well.
Yeah, I do as well.
And I guess there's probably a lot of alternate history work out there that does that lets you, that gives you clues and lets you figure out how this world has come to be.
Yeah. Well, what I think we should do is put a challenge out to the people that are listening to this and just let us know what alternate history things that they've read or they think they could recommend. Put it in the comments.
Yeah. What's a good starting point? What's a good book to read if you want to get into alternate history?
Yeah, that's a good recommendation. Yeah. Let us know, people. Come on.
Yeah. So the other comment we got suggesting a conversation topic was from Phoenix Mackenzie.
Phoenix!
He said, evolution. What will genetics turn humans into?
Oh my God. Talk about open-ended.
Oh no, huge question, isn't it?
Oh God. We could do a whole podcast about that.
We could. So it's probably best not to talk too much about it. I did think that leads us on very nicely to an article by Stephen Lyle Jordan. That we posted last week, I think. Terraforming and genetic manipulation both.
I've not read it.
But, yeah, as usual.
It looked good. It had a nice picture.
It did, yeah.
What's it about? Well, I was waiting for you to tell me about it.
Yeah, because that's easier than reading it, yeah. Basically, what Stephen...
Explain first. Who's Stephen Lyle Jordan?
Stephen Lyle Jordan is an author. He writes the Kestrel Voyages series of novels.
The one that he started writing his Star Trek fiction, didn't he? But then changed it.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's him. Yeah, okay.
We've talked about him a few times before, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So anyway, he wrote this article for SciFi Ideas, which is very nice of him.
Yeah.
Basically, what he's talking about is terraforming is great, but it's kind of limited. When you get a planet that's like Earth, you might never be able to get it up to being exactly the same as Earth.
Right.
So we need to use genetic manipulation to make us suitable for the planet as well.
But all you're doing is creating a different species, aren't you?
Kind of, yeah.
And then you're going to get racism. You're going to get racism with different species.
And are we just kind of creating a potential enemy for ourselves in these other people? Or no, potential allies, though. It depends on if these new people identify as human or not, doesn't it?
Well, I suppose there's a conflict there. There's a story that you could write about.
Yeah. But, well, it depends on why we're colonising this other planet. If it's expansionism, or if it's Earth is no longer habitable and we need to move somewhere else. So we might need to change the entire human population to be suitable for this new planet.
Ooh, wow, that's something difficult. This reminds me of the Red Dwarf novel just because they don't have any aliens in Red Dwarf.
Yeah.
But they do have all these other things, but they have genetic manipulation. So anything that's different, they call them Gelfs, that are genetically engineered life forms. But it just means that they've created all these really weird and wonderful things, like the snoo giraffe. all these different creatures.
Or the jellyfinch was mentioned in one, I think.
They're not aliens, but they are weird and alien. And essentially, well, they could be the aliens. You could build up a whole universe, whole galaxy of these different things, and they're suited to their individual environments. If you've got a planet with high gravity or low atmosphere.
It also reminds me of Eclipse Phase, the role-playing game.
Oh, yeah.
Where they have something similar. And instead of travelling to other planets, people kind of download themselves into new bodies of these other worlds where people are being genetically engineered to suit the conditions there.
Yeah. That's quite interesting. So if you've got a planet that's all water, you're downloading your consciousness
into a body, into a fish, yeah.
Yeah. What happens to the old one?
I assume it just gets dematerialised and recycled somehow.
Oh, really? So it dies, so you can't go back?
I don't know. I don't know much about Eclipse Phase, actually, but maybe somebody then can download into your old body.
Oh, yeah, you could do a little swap.
Yeah.
Do a little, like a Freaky Friday with a weird alien who's used to swimming around. Hey, that'll be an interesting story, wouldn't it? Someone from the fish planet turns into human, and he's got to figure out how to walk. Whoa, this is weird.
You've also got the problem there, though, of getting used goods. What if you download into a body and you think, oh, there's something wrong with this, the arm's missing? No.
Just thinking about on Earth, you could have the mafia who will take money to put you into a younger, better version. Younger, better body.
Yeah.
Why
mafia? Why would that be illegal?
Well, I just thought because it's immoral.
In Eclipse Phase, though, this is the standard means of transportation. People don't use starships anymore. They use this, so it's always happening. So why not?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Interesting.
I wrote a short story about that as well.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah, See You on Ravana, it was called.
Okay,
I think we've talked about it on the podcast before, actually. So.
Oh, I don't think we have.
Have we not?
Yeah. Oh, maybe I don't know. Well, it's there on the website.
Check it out.
People who are listening want to have a read.
Yeah,
I thought it was quite a good idea, good story idea. It could be expanded into it could be a full novel.
It could. It could be
loads.
Some people that have read it have said, "Oh, I want more," but I have no idea what would happen next.
Yeah, but that's the whole point of putting it on SciFi Ideas. It's then something that someone else can be inspired by and write their own.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you do write your own, let us know, because then you can do like a follow-up, can't you, and say, hey, look, this inspired this guy, and yeah, we're all connected in the world.
Yeah. So what we haven't talked about is the redesign of the SciFi Ideas webpage.
Right, yes. I am hard at work on that.
Yeah. That was going to be the first thing we talked about, but we've got sidetracked. So by the time this podcast is live, the new site design should be live as well?
Should be,
okay.
As long as I don't cock it up massively.
Okay.
No, yeah, it should be. Well, we're going to have some new features, aren't we?
We are, yeah. When the new design goes live, I'm going to start posting more articles as well. I'm kind of treating it like a bit of a relaunch. I'm wanting to make the site a bit more of a magazine and have more regular content. And so we've got some new regular weekly features that are going to be going up. We've already started with the creature concepts feature.
Yeah.
They are now going to be a regular weekly feature.
Oh my God, we're committing to this, are we?
Yes. Hey, it's you that started the creature concepts.
I know. I like it. The thing is, I find some really good artwork, and I'm just inspired by it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the artist will put a little bit of information about it, or maybe I'll think, oh, this is great. I'll invent my own species, and that sort of thing, I find just finding a good bit of artwork amazing, because then I could go, oh, I'll fit this into my story.
Yeah.
Even if it's something like something in the background that's not even that important.
Yeah. So the brand new regular feature though has got to be the starting point, or story starting point.
Yeah.
Where, again, it's quite image based. I'm finding these really cool pictures, and then I start writing a story, or write like a snippet from a potential story to share with it, and then encourage you to turn it into a full story, to continue the story, or to just write your own based on that.
Yeah. So are you hoping people...
It's inspiration. It's just basically... I think I'm going to post this on a weekend when hopefully most people will have time to write. You might be just sitting down at your desk thinking, I should write something, but what? I just want to kind of give people that push.
Are you hoping people will write it in the comments? Or?
Well, I guess writing an entire story in the comments would be kind of silly.
Yeah.
But no, comment about your ideas about how the story would be continued. And then, actually turn it into a full story and send it to us. And if it's any good, we'll share it as a feature story on the site.
Yeah. Excellent. I look forward to that, actually. I haven't seen any that you've done. I assume you've got a few written already that you're gonna that you've got in the bank.
I've got a few in stock. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. And we've got the generators on there as well for.
Yeah.
Oh, you've not talked about your planet generator.
Have I not?
I don't know.
Did we not talk about this last time?
I don't know. Talk about it again. We mentioned it a little bit earlier. Well, essentially, it generates a planet for you, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
In fact, I'm gonna.
I'm sure we've talked about this.
Oh, maybe. Well, we've got loads of generators anyway. Oh no, I think we did, because it was new. You were just sort of testing it, but I don't think it was live just then.
Oh right, okay. Well, it's definitely live now. Under writing resources in the menu. Is that the same on the new site design? It will be one.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
There's a random generators thing there, and a drop down with lots of generators, and the planet generators on there. And it generates planet names, the star system, and then a description.
I've generated the planet Zingaching. That sounds amazing. Zingaching. It's in the Kazinga system. It's a quartz crystal planet populated by quartz-based crystalline life forms.
Ooh, right.
What would someone look like if they're made out of quartz?
I don't know. I didn't write that one. Somebody's shared that one. I have a feeling that might have been Joe Kawano. Who's doing the new web show.
Yeah.
Or it could have been like Phoenix McKenzie sent some as well. I'm sure we talked about this last time. I'm getting deja vu now.
I think we did.
Okay, that is the end of the show. We'll leave you to explore all the interesting links in the show notes to all the articles that we've been talking about. Please do subscribe via however you're listening, YouTube, iTunes, the Facebook page, email, Twitter, and feel free to comment. Let us know what you think of the show and all the ideas we've been discussing. Leave a comment if you'd like us to discuss something, to talk about something in particular than the next show. That was rubbish.
No, that's fine. That makes sense because it was good until then. But we want people to tell us what to talk about next time.
Yeah, because we never know until like the morning that we start recording.
This is so professional.
Yeah.
Are we leaving that in? Hood? I'm not sure anymore which bits are recording, which bit we're just chatting. All right, let's end it and let's end the show.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we need to end because you're coming up to eat Chinese food.
I'm eating Chinese food?
Yeah, we're going to China Road tonight, yeah.
Are we? Fantastic.
Get your ass in the car and drive on up.
Is that in the show as well? Are we leaving that in
the
the show?
I'm saying it like it's in the show, but...
Nobody wants to know what I'm having for tea tonight. That is not even vaguely sci-fi related.
It's funny though.
In the future, will we still eat Chinese food? If aliens invaded, and maybe they were just not invading like trying to rule us or anything. They just come and live with us, like in the what's that 90s show where about the aliens that came and they've got spotty heads and they just started living with us.
Oh, the
What's that called?
I remember the name of the alien species, but not the show.
What are the aliens called?
Tanktonese.
They're
called newcomers.
So if they came and they lived with us...
It's called
Alien Nation, yeah. So in Alien Nation, if that sort of thing happened, well, we'd have a new food to eat, because they'd probably bring some food. But what if they really liked Chinese food?
Well, then that would be fine.
That is fine. I'm just wondering, in the future, say 100 years in the future, are we still going to have all the same concept of the food that we have now, or is it different? Is it going to be different?
We'll probably eat a lot more insects.
Why? I don't want to. Why do we eat insects?
They eat a lot of insects in China and the Far East. Why not? Insects are really kind of efficient as a food, right? They take very little space and very few resources to farm, and they're very high in protein. So compared to all the beef that we eat at the minute, it just takes lots of land. And also produces a lot of greenhouse gases through farting. But insects don't. It's very environmentally friendly. They're compact, they're cheap, and they're a good source of protein. So in the future we're going to eat like
fly burgers? Fly or beetle burgers?
Cockroaches, mantises, all sorts they eat in the Far East.
I don't want... mantis burger with cheese, please.
We need to start eating this kind of stuff. We think it's disgusting, but other people don't. We need to train ourselves to eat this kind of stuff, because otherwise there won't be enough food to go around.
When I went to Thailand, there was this market stall, and it was like pick and mix insects.
Oh.
And it was just little trays of insects, and you just pick what you want, put it in a little bag, take it away, and just munch on it, just like you eat some sweets. Although, thinking about things like sweets, it's only like gelatin, it's the pig fat and stuff, isn't it? Like pig bones.
Yeah,
so that's pretty weird.
Something like gummy bears.
That's no more weird than munching on a beetle, is it?
No. I've just had a weird idea. You know about vertical farms?
Oh, yeah.
Space-saving vertical farms. Vertical insect farms. Just like tubes of insects.
Yeah, why not?
I don't know how it would work. It's just kind of a weird mental image I've got in my head of just a mile-high tube filled with insects.
Well, you have to contain them somehow. You don't want them to fly off, do you?
No,
do you want them to fly off? You want to contain them, and then what would you do then?
You could have organic free-range insects, of course.
I'm just right. What I'm imagining now is this tube, a really tall tube, with loads of insects in it. It's kind of like 3, 4, 5 meters wide, but like a mile high, something like that. Yeah. And then and you go, right, I need to farm these insects now. They're all fully grown. We need to farm them. Some sort of plunger just comes down from the middle inside, just squashes them all into like this patty.
No, the best thing about insects is the crunch. You have it so
the best thing about insects.
This is what the Chinese or Vietnamese like about them. Surely it's the crunch factor. It's part of the taste experience. But what you do is you have the baby ones at the top of the tube, and then they get older and more mature and bigger. So then at the bottom you just have like a little valve. You just like open a hatch and force them out.
But then how do you kill them?
Just like a pick and mix sweet thing. You take them out at the bottom. You don't need to worry about killing them.
What? You'd eat them live?
A lot of people do, yeah. Or you just cook them live. Or boil them, or whatever you want to do with them.
I don't know. Right, okay, so if you're listening to this and who do you say Chinese and Vietnamese?
Right,
anyway, if you're a fan of eating insects, let us know if that's the food of the future. Anyway, we've got to finish the show.
Or this vertical farm, you could put it in a space elevator as well. That's even more space saving. You just put it in the middle of a space elevator. Yeah.
Just don't let them loose into space. I assume an insect can't survive for very long in space. Anyway, we're supposed to be ending the show. We're supposed to be ending the show ages ago. Right, let's finish it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's done. Go away.
Right, done. Bye.
Bye.
That's good. That was good.